and scroll. Talk and scroll. Talk and
Subscribe. What's going on? This is TNS, Time and Space, and I would like to welcome you to episode 14 of Talk and Scroll. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell notification so you can be made aware of any time that I post new content. But anyway, now that the housekeeping is done, so basically, this particular video is discussing Deshaun Watson and how he will not face any cases, or he will not have any civil trials going on during the 2022 NFL season. So I wanted to scroll through some of these comments and speak to the ones that resonate with me so that we can get an idea of the narrative. So first and foremost, let's take a look. So first of all, I want to start with this comment. It says, they need to barbecue him. There's a reason why he keeps avoiding these trials in the NFL, and the NFL should have no involvement as far as getting him off, preventing him from going to trial or anything like that. When you're accused of a crime in this country, you are to go to a fair trial with a jury of your peers. There's a reason why he keeps avoiding this. Okay, there's so much wrong with this comment. And ultimately, I wanted to get my train of thought together. I wanted to talk about how much people misunderstand and how crazy it is that people really have a herd mentality, in that you hear something and you go with it and you follow the narrative that's crafted without doing any critical thinking. So first and foremost, you say they need to barbecue him. They already had 2 grand juries who declined to move forward with criminal charges. That was not the NFL's doing. That was not the NFL's doing. There are so many different players. No one player is bigger than the NFL. That would even make more sense in the NBA just because there's less players. But the NFL has 53-man rosters. They would definitely move on without Deshaun Watson. So there is no instance of the NFL assisting Deshaun Watson. They had nothing to do with the grand jury. The grand jury has not found sufficient evidence to move forward with criminal charges. So as far as any involvement, they are not involved. They're not preventing him from going to trial. Actually, there are civil proceedings going on. That's the whole point. That's why everyone is upset. That's why this person commented, my thing is, since when does dogfighting in 2 strange cases, prison and public embarrassment, Vic and Ben, warrant all the coverage, but 22 civil suits doesn't? Well, maybe it's because it's civil and not criminal. So again, this is a non-story because the story was whether or not there would be criminal charges brought forth, and they were not, and they have not been. So somebody says, I say wait till next year so he can lose 40 million instead of 1 million this season. Again, that has to do with personal feelings. All of this boils down to how people feel about Deshaun Watson personally, which a lot of that has to do with the narrative. Even the belief that, okay, he needs to have a trial with a jury of his peers, that's a criminal trial. There have been no criminal charges. And if you say, oh, well, that's just because there wasn't any evidence. Exactly, that's the point. They are having civil proceedings. There's not a trial of a jury. There's the judge, and they'll go through the process, and the legal process will play out, I should say. So next, I want to go on to this comment. It says, this dude is seriously thick-headed. He should have told his lawyer to settle on an amount with them and pay them and move on. See, that's where you're wrong, because if he had done that, then that same chorus of critics would be saying, oh, he must have something to hide. But Deshaun Watson has maintained from the beginning that he is not looking to settle. He's not looking to settle because he believes that he's innocent. And that, to me, if you want to get on a moral high horse, that speaks more to morality than just settling out because you have the money to do it. So someone says, I wonder how long until a Cleveland area massage provider has a complaint against Watson. Who knows? I would think if I were Deshaun Watson, I would be much more careful about who I patronize. But again, this is also true. It says Zeke got 6 games for false allegations. So the NFL process is separate from the civil proceedings. Someone says such privilege. So, wow. Okay, you really believe it's privilege, but these cases haven't gone anywhere. And how is it privilege if Deshaun Watson is still, liable to be suspended? And how is it that he's still, in the midst of these civil proceedings? That would make more sense if the cases had been thrown out. So the next one says, I doubt he goes to trial. Pay the women hush money and take your 6 to 10 game suspension. I hope he puts this behind him so he can help the team. If the NFL lets him play and with his lower salary this year, Cleveland has a better cap situation. Hope Cleveland can make a run this year. So I'm really not going to speak on the sports aspect or the competitive aspect. As far as paying the women hush money, again, Deshaun Watson has maintained his innocence and he's been consistent in that stance. He's not looking to just pay hush money. He feels as though he's being extorted. So this next person says, Black privilege. The race argument. If it was such Black privilege, there wouldn't be any charges, period. So it's hilarious to me that anyone would think that just because Deshaun Watson is Black, that must be the reason why there were no criminal charges. Nothing could be further from the truth. Honestly, he's been dragged through the mud, and I don't see any privilege there just because he's Black. I don't see where color factors in at all. So someone says Deshaun will be suspended for at least 6 to 10 games during the 2022 season. And if that happens, will you still call it privilege? Will you still say that? So this next person says, I think the NFL should wait and see if Deshaun is guilty before suspending or kicking Deshaun out of the NFL. I'm so sick of people getting fired for accusations with zero proof, made up proof, then gets proven they were innocent the whole time. Exactly. The NFL should wait and see, and they are right in doing so. As far as public opinion, the court of public opinion, everyone is entitled to that, but that has nothing to do with the actual legal proceedings. So then this gets to the crux of it. I really want to focus on this comment. It says, how can you morally? Now I want to pause on that because they're asking a moral question, which again has nothing to do with the legal proceedings. How can you morally just allow someone to play in your professional league when they're still in the mix for assault? Like, I get it might be false claims, but shouldn't you sit out until it's cleared up? NFL preaches equity and all the virtue signaling bullshit, but doesn't give a F what players do off the field. But anyway, so they're talking about morality. So on the one hand, you're saying that Deshaun Watson should have to sit out during these civil proceedings. And you could also argue that morally it's wrong to punish someone as if they're guilty when nothing has been proven in that regard. Why are we just going to assume their guilt? How is that moral? So let's see, next one, we are scrolling down. And ultimately, okay, so this channel is Believe All Women's Sports. Exactly. It's Believe All Women's Sports. That is a popular narrative. The person previously mentioned virtue signaling. The entire Deshaun Watson situation has been a referendum on virtue signaling. So, and it's amazing to me that even as men are quick to jump on this bandwagon to criticize Deshaun Watson. I don't see how you don't notice that this could happen to you. This could most certainly happen to you, but I want to read this last comment before I finish up. Man, I really wish there was a way your videos wouldn't pop up for Brown's News. Obviously biased, and your viewers are too. Some don't know anything about this other than what you tell them. It's funny how many people try and get views over the Watson situation. I hope everyone keeps the same energy when he beats those civil cases because he was already acquitted of any legal trouble. Damn, get off his nuts. Go find some other drama to worry about. How about just see if the guy plays, and if he does, then he does. Who cares? Obviously, you're salty about the whole deal. I won't go that far as any, personal attacks. I'm not one to do that. But I will say that, yes, the believe all women narrative, it's flawed. It's most certainly flawed. There has to be critical thinking. And if you dislike Deshaun Watson, then that's fine. However, we need to let the case play out. And it can happen to any man, really. Any man in that situation, it can happen to, especially if you believe it can't. Because who's to say that you don't necessarily, patronize someone, any business really? It could be a massage parlor, for example. Who's to say that if you're in a prominent position, that women that you've worked with couldn't then just say, well, he assaulted me and it happened in the dark. So it's just a case of he said, she said. Who's to say that women can't band together to create a narrative, or that people can't band together? So ultimately, I wanted to speak on that. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. We really need to utilize critical thinking. And it's a shame how these narratives have been pursued. And one thing that I want to finish up with is that 2 of the women have amended their complaint. So basically, they're alleging negligence and gross negligence to say that Deshaun Watson had a duty to protect them or to act in a certain way. And the defense attorney, or not the defense attorney, the prosecuting attorney, he's even looking to get access to Deshaun Watson's personal communications, because he's saying that Deshaun Watson knew about his sexual proclivities and therefore he should have warned the women of his sexual proclivities. So he's trying to establish a pattern of behavior. But if you really look at it critically, the only one who's tried different angles has been the prosecuting attorney and the accusers. First, they've said, well, we're going to go the criminal route. There were no criminal charges. So now there are 22 accusers. And now that doesn't seem to be working. So now they're saying that, well, there must be, negligence or gross negligence, that, Deshaun Watson failed to protect them. But if you think about it, Deshaun Watson has been steadfast in denying the allegations. He's faced them head on. Even when they first came about, he said, I look forward to settling these in court. I look forward to my day in court. I look forward to telling my side of the story. And he said that, and he's embraced that from the very beginning. So I know it's difficult for those who are not fans of Deshaun Watson to acknowledge that, but he hasn't wavered in that regard. He's been defending his name and defending his reputation since day one. And I really hope that justice is served. I hope that it doesn't become a political agenda, and I hope that the NFL doesn't look to be politically correct just to satisfy the chorus of believe all women. But anyway, that's it for now. This is TNS Time and Space. Y'all take it easy.
People say believe all women, like we ain't all sinning. I seen it from the beginning. It's a story they were spinning, and people automatically innocent. But then you look around, pay attention, and it gets